Are you tough enough to handle another round of video game fisticuffs in my search for the worst fighting games? Well, you better be, because today's topic is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System exclusive fighting game known in the States as Hey Punk, Are You Tuff E Nuff? Master the Moves to Master Me. Or Tuff E Nuff for short. Released in 1993, first on March 26th in Japan, then in the USA in September, and in Europe just a scant month later in October. Tuff E Nuff was developed by a now defunct Japanese video game company, probably best known for, I don't know, Goblin Commander? Maniac Mansion? Jaleco's list of developed games is super long, but I can't focus in on one title that I'd consider the killer app. Maybe this will be the one. Tuff E Nuff is a fighting game that takes place in a post-apocalyptic future. You see, in the year 2151, the war to end all wars broke out. For a second time, I guess, since it's not like World War I ever dropped that nickname. That war decimated the entire planet of Earth, leaving behind only a desolate wasteland where one law ruled. Only the strong survived. Amidst all the chaos of the devastating war, a man named Jade rose to power, earning the title of Fighting King and becoming overlord of the world's remaining civilized lands. The Fighting King built a giant tower to show off his great strength. Many challenged the Fighting King, hoping to defeat him, but all who traveled to the tower were killed. All hope to defeat the Fighting King seemed lost, his dominance completely unchallenged by any man or woman in the wastes. That is, until a great series of tournaments was called across the globe's remaining territories. Those tournaments concluded, and 4 great champions were crowned. Sayo, 22-year-old from Hokkaido, Japan. Zazie, 22-year-old from the United States and Sayo's rival. Also does not look 22 in the slightest. Koteno, 19-year-old ninja from Japan. Because Japan gets 2 reps. And Vorts, 31-year-old professional wrestler from Holland in the Netherlands. These 4 champions now head to the Great Tower of the Fighting King, and this, dear viewers, is where the game's story mode begins. Tuff E Nuff features 3 very exciting game modes: Versus the AI, and the story mode. Much like my Shaq Fu video, we'll be focusing on the story for, well, pretty much the exact same reasons as that Shaq Fu video. That and the mandatory social distancing, obviously. You select from one of the 4 heroes I described earlier to go through the gauntlet of Jade's Tower. Me being me, I decided to go with Vorts, mainly because grapplers are the main archetypes that I play in fighting games. That, and to prove being a hero isn't just a young man's game. Gotta teach these whippersnappers a thing or two, you dig? I first faced Ninja Girl Kotono, and since I've had no previous experience in Tuff E Nuff, I need to use the first bout to familiarize myself with both Vorts and the game's mechanics. The game also says that Kotono uses ninja sword and ninja darts, but, I don't see any ninjato on her person, and by darts do they mean kunai? Am I being too much of a weeb here? The hell is that, Vorts? A stationary dropkick? A low stationary dropkick, no less. That doesn't seem physically possible. This is probably the only time I've ever seen such a thing. Typically when a character has a low dropkick like this, it has a shit ton of forward momentum, like Kanji Tatsumi or La Diva here. Shit. Want to die. Not Vorts though, he defies all traditions. Okay, yeah, that's really useful. Rising Buffalo, one of my specials. It's an anti-air with no hard knockdown, so half the time your opponent recovers before you. At least I'm pretty sure. Kotono easily overwhelms my inexperienced ass, and I am promptly defeated. Uniquely, Tuff E Nuff has a replay feature at the end of every fight that will let you see the exact cheating nonsense your opponent beat you with. Oh, here lies the loser. Yeah, okay, game. I give you a chance and this is how you treat me? Jolly go jerks. Time to rally for my second fight. It's in my first fight I realized that I have one of the best anti-airs I have ever seen in any fighting game ever. This elbow right here. Good God, what a normal anti-air, anti-cross-up, will basically stuff any sort of air offense your opponent might want to mount. Just stuff it every time they even think about jumping. Vorts has some tools, at least. This round I also successfully pull my command grab, the Muscle Buster. I also realized that my boy, Vorts, much like Zangief in the SF2 days, has a ton of different grabs. Specifically, he has 5 of them. A hanging choke, a power slam, a brain buster, a series of violent stomps, and an air power slam as well. And lastly, Buffalo Charge, A rushing shoulder brunt that I'm about 90% sure is safe on block, even the heavy full screen version. This move is a beautiful boon in this game since Tuff E Nuff, as far as I can tell at least, is a super ground-based neutral heavy game. No joke, if you decide to give this game a shot after watching this review, I wouldn't even recommend going for jump ins unless you are 100% sure you're gonna land before your opponent can answer. The anti-airs are so strong. Hell, even your basic jab is a deadly anti-air. It's like I'm playing SF5 all over again. I smack Kotono down before moving on to the other two protagonists, Zazie and Sayo, the veritable Ken and Ryu of Tuff E Nuff. Head swaps that share slightly different moves with one another. You know, fireball, sweeping forward, fiery uppercut, and disco powers. After I finished off the head swaps, I was curious as to what would come next, since there were only 4 characters on the select screen. My ascent to the top of Jade's tower began, and I was first greeted by... beans. Weapon style, American sack. What? Oh my god, look at this dude. Looks like the bastard child of Benny Maru and Bo. As I traded blows with Beans, I struggled to understand what the hell American sack meant. He's got some weird kicks in his arsenal, and he pulls the Star Platinum punches. But nothing that seemed to hint at what exactly American sack meant. Oh well. American sack will remain a mystery to me. I crush Beans and continue my ascent. The next roadblock was Dolph, a Libyan mercenary armed with a rocket launcher and a David Bowie knife. Dolph gets a sick special intro where he rides one of the missiles up to the fight and jumps off to face you. Amazing. For some reason, Dolph swings his rocket launcher like a great club, which... is that safe? Could you swing a rocket-tipped launcher like a baseball bat and not risk it blowing up at all? He fires it too, for reference, but it's blockable and doesn't do a terrible amount of damage either. God, could you imagine if it was realistic though? You try to block it and... Dolph's commando training and superior weaponry proved little match for Holland's finest though. Ray, the Iron Shoe-wielding warrior, is my next opponent. We're gonna play a fun game now called Is It a Trap? Here's the pick. Here's the voice. Go! Surprisingly, it's actually a woman. She's honestly not too impressive of a foe. Probably the easiest out of everyone in the tower, to be totally honest. A mysterious masked man, Gadget, is my next foe. Another in possession of great strength. A head swap of my very own character as well. Wonder if we're related at all. Fighting Gadget made me realize I want to play Gadget instead of Vorts. And for one reason. This gorgeous dropkick right here. One that's typically a staple in every grappler's moveset. Zangief has it, Birdie has it, Abigail has it, Hagar has it, and hell, even a non-grappler like Yamcha has it, and God, I desperately wish Vorts had it too. Even in this game of strong anti-airs, anything with just a bit of range that can maybe force a block would be a godsend. Even though Gadget's moveset was superior to my own, my strength proves far greater than his, and I move ever upward in my quest to defeat Jade. Shredder is the next enemy poised to stop me, and by Shredder I mean Zero, the ninja, and holy hell, this guy is an absolute nightmare to face. Sword normals, Rapukin. It's also here that I realized another of the unique features Tuff E Nuff possesses, leveling up. As you blow through the story mode, your character's special maneuvers change in look. For example, Vorts' Buffalo Charge gains a fiery effect later in the game. I don't know if the moves change beyond just the aesthetic, but it's a nice little touch for certain. Shows some progression of power in your characters. My new flame ability is unfortunate for Zero too, since, as everybody knows, the biggest weakness of any ninja is their inability to catch you if you're on fire. The penultimate foe of Tuff E Nuff is Case, a German bionic super soldier. Holy hell, this lunging attack is crazy! 9 total hits stuck in block stun the whole time. German science truly is the best in the world. After telling Case to KYS, I reached the summit of the tower and faced down the final boss. Jade. Jade comes into battle with fight aura, and a slick-looking set of power armor too, on top of a power stance only the most intimidating warriors could pull off. He's also got G's fireball and the most blindingly fast dive kick I've ever seen in a fighting game. I haven't seen a dive kick this nutty since, well, Dolph, I guess, since he had it too. Jade certainly isn't a disappointing final boss with his deadly array of attacks and strike. He's definitely a mighty foe, one worthy of his title as Fighting King. Unfortunately for him, though, Jade's career as Fighting King comes to an abrupt end in the exact same fashion as Tyson Kidd. With Jade's defeat, the game kicks me to the end screen, congratulating me on beating the meanest, toughest guys around and assuring me that I'm tough enough. For what exactly, I'm not entirely sure. And that's it. Pretty disappointing end for a pretty cool game. Pretty disappointing. Or so I thought. You see, later on via YouTube, I found out that this game actually did have endings for the story mode, one for each character even, but for whatever reason, they're absent in both the US and European releases. Just to be safe though, I got a Japanese version of the game and did a whole nother playthrough to see, and good god, so much awesome stuff was cut from the international versions for some reason. Dead Dance, as it was originally called in Japan, had pre-fight dialogue between characters. Blood during the fights, post-fight dialogue with defeated picks like Street Fighter 2, and the aforementioned endings as well. Fun fact, turns out Gadget is actually Vortz's brother. In Vortz's ending, you rescue him from the tower after you beat Jade, or Jado, as is his Japanese name. You rescue Gadget and end up opening a gym together to teach future generations of children how to grapple against evil. Unfortunately, you would never know any of this unless you played the original version. You also wouldn't get to see Zazie become Rao from Fist of the North Star. I have no clue as to why so much was cut from the international release. The cut dialogues help to flesh the characters a good amount, from what little I've seen translated at least. Why was this all cut? We'll probably never know. So, how does Tuff E Nuff rank on the list of 2 fighting games I've reviewed so far? Well, it's better than Shaq Fu, that's for sure. I can't lie, Tuff E Nuff is a pretty tight fighting game, definitely one of the better obscure ones I've played in my time. The characters are decent, and all have pretty cool movesets. There's also a lot of color, something I definitely wasn't expecting in a game that takes place in the post-apocalyptic future. My only real complaint would be the slowdown on hit. It really affects the flow of the game, and I found it a bit difficult to execute my grappling game plan with this slowdown. I like the game's aesthetics a lot though, it's a good mix of Street Fighter and Fist of the North Star. Which that's probably something I should have mentioned earlier since it's pretty obvious. Tuff E Nuff draws a good bit of inspiration from the Fist of the North Star series. So is Tuff E Nuff the worst fighting game ever? No, not even close, obviously. This is a pretty dang good one, all things considered, so I'm gonna put it at number 1 on the list of fighting games I reviewed. As always, I'm State Manticore. Thanks so much for watching if you are. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.